the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard, live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino, where our next guest is the VP, not only here, but also the Golden Gate and the D. It is the maestro, Mike Palm. Good morning, Mike. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Mitch. Good morning, Paul.
Hey, Mike.
Good morning, Swansea, New Hampshire, and our very loyal Nesson family. Bolingbrook, Illinois. Peekaboo, Marquee. We see you. Timmins, Ontario. Oh, Canada, watching on Rogers Sportsnet. Newport News, Virginia, our very vocal Masson audience. Hershey, Pennsylvania, and all the good folks watching on Sportsnet. Tupelo, Mississippi, our loyal YouTube TV viewers. And El Cajon, California, another sunrise over Spectrum.
Oh,
You're a proud, is it Iowan?
Iowan.
Okay.
Iowegian, some people say, but
Some
Iowan.
say-
Yeah.
Okay. Are you over the loss in the national title game yet?
I don't know. It's still surreal. The whole experience was really surreal, Mitch. What she did, and I didn't think they were going to beat UConn. You know, they're down 12 in the first half, and they played a horrible first half.
Terrible.
They were able to come back, and I know you were thrilled with the moving screen call. Got through that, and then what a hot start against South Carolina. You could have got them at a pick, and they went up 11. You could have got South Carolina straight pick 'em at that point. But, I mean, what you think about, and I'll get into it in no hyperbole with the WNBA stars quick to bash her and what they have waiting for her and that, but you think what she did with a group of girls who will never play basketball again beyond their time at the University of Iowa. You know, these UConn teams, Breanna Stewart played with 12 other WNBA players in her 4 years at UConn. Right? You know,
I did
these
notice
girls-
the girls who were ripping her were all UConn, it seemed.
Yeah.
Which was
Well,
interesting.
It's
but
nice that they bring on Bird and Tarazi to talk about the moving screen. What do you think they're going to? What I mean,
Of
that's
course.
was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
right,
of course.
Yeah.
If maybe somebody objective to come on.
Yeah.
But these girls, I mean, Hannah Stolke, and these girls aren't going to play. They're going to be pharmacists and school teachers and whatever they're going to be. And to think that they got all the way to the national title game twice, it's very surreal. It's very, very
She
surreal.
carried the entire team on her back.
She uplifted the sport, Mitch.
25,
well
almost
said.
25 million people watched the game at its peak.
Come on.
It's
I mean-
that's better than that's like playoff football numbers we're talking about.
The game against UConn on Friday night, the national semifinal, the most watched basketball game in the history of ESPN, more than the Eastern Conference final game, remember ESPN carried the NCAA tournament early rounds back in the day, right before CBS and that network, those four got all the games. It's unbelievable. And the only comp is Tiger. I can't think of any other comp that drew this many eyes and uplifted a sport the way she did. And kudos to Dawn Staley for recognizing her in that moment, what she did, while so many others want to say, well, put an asterisk here, and she didn't do this, and she beat a bunch of 18-year-olds. Well, so did you. That's how you got to where you are.
Right. It's a small part of it, but Mitch is right, too, that the schedule, they did it right with the schedule.
Oh, to play on
Absolutely.
the Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, well, not all of it. And then, Friday, even what they did Friday, even what they did the previous round, going one game, you're not playing two games against each other head-to-head like the men, and then you're not playing, one thing to start the championship game at 9:30.
Sure.
On the East Coast, but then also what they did going back-to-back games when they were in the Sweet 16, what they did. They got it right for the scheduling, too.
For many years, the women's final would tip at 7 o'clock Eastern. Many, many, many years. 4 o'clock our time. And then they switched it last year and then this year, obviously, and put it 3 o'clock Eastern window.
So then based on that, and she's going to go number one in the WNBA draft, the WNBA announced yesterday, I believe, 36 of their 40 regular season games will be on national television. 10 of those combined will be on ABC, ESPN, The Deuce, CBS, and more games on Amazon Prime and NBA TV. Are you expecting a betting frenzy this year in the WNBA?
Well, it'll be very interesting. So last Thursday, we talked about the cost of the tickets for the Aces' fourth game at Michelob at Mandalay Bay. And a few hours later, when we got off the air, they announced they're moving it to T-Mobile, right? Because they think they can sell out that many tickets. They sold out every single Iowa home game this year. I did an interview with a young man that's was doing a freelance piece that actually ran in the Cedar Rapids Gazette on Monday. But he came here to watch the national championship game, and I did an interview with him Sunday morning. He graduated from Northwestern. All his friends bought Northwestern season tickets and good seats, right, courtside for cheap, just so they could go. And the only game they went to was when she came there.
Is that right?
Yeah. He said that they were incredibly intelligent to do that because by the time she came, if you wanted to, you'd have paid a lot of money for nosebleed seats. Though they paid less for the whole season tickets and were in the 8th row.
Yeah, that's a great yeah.
Good move.
This Indiana Fever was on one national TV game.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're going to be on 36.
Sure. 36 games next year. I'm guessing then the game on Sunday against South Carolina had to be the highest.
It was.
Handle.
It eclipsed last year's national championship game, which goes down as number 2 for us.
Okay.
And number 3 was the and then it would go in that descending order of backwards chronology. Number 3 was the UConn game, and number 4 was the LSU game this year, the regional final.
Did you guys get buried on UConn? Or were you the sharp bettors here that you take money from?
We sold off a lot of our UConn. Our UConn liability was about $250,000, and we sold off a lot of it. And we needed UConn in the title game.
You did.
To win for the future liabilities. Purdue was a worse result, just because we sold off so much by making the other teams so much higher.
You know what I didn't realize? So I was watching the tournament basically with my bets in mind more than anything else. Mm-hmm. That's what kind of happens, I think, when you get older. My timeline after Monday night was filled with people saying the tournament sucked. Was it really that bad? I never even thought about it until I started to see people say this, and I'm trying to reflect. I'm like, I honestly don't have, because I just had bets in my mind the whole time. I guess I wasn't even paying attention from an individual standpoint.
How so? Did they elaborate? Because UConn was so good.
Dominance from them.
Okay.
Purdue killing teams.
Right. They all covered.
I think they just said kind of poor play
Cinderella.
overall. I don't know.
Well, overinflating the balls doesn't help, but you didn't have Cinderella in terms of little guy. You did have NC State. And then outside of Kentucky and Auburn, we didn't have big upsets, right? So, I don't know.
I thought that the opening weekend when Saturday, Sunday came and all the hot, all but 2 of the, 14 of 16.
Yeah.
And then 13 of 16 covered, that kind of got a little bit chalky. I don't know. I guess when your Cinderella's a Power 5 team, it's not as much of a Cinderella when it's not a small school. But, I mean, Oakland.
Needed Oakland Elite 8.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Well,
that
they had it there. They had the last possession.
Yep.
They had a little run there, and then all of a sudden, Cal's a Razorback.
Yep. Yeah, right. How about that?
I met with the team. There is no team.
There is no team.
That's a very good opener.
Yeah, that was strong. Yeah, and then walks off the dais. That was good. I guess I could see that. I mean, good point, Mike. Between the 15-1 run and people tune in the first weekend for upsets, and you only got a couple of them, and then you just knew it was a formality that they're going to repeat, and they're too good, and every game was a blowout. Good point, too, about Purdue was a blowout.
Do we not want to watch excellence, though?
Yeah, I see that, yeah. I respect it.
I always think dynasties are good.
Yeah, I mean...
Right? Because they create either popularity on one side and they become a villain for a lot of the other people.
Like, had Gonzaga finished off the perfect season 3 years ago, would people had a problem with that?
No.
They blew out everybody they played until the Final Four in the title game. Mm. I kind of want to see that once in my lifetime.
Yeah, he had a shot with Kentucky that year, and Wisconsin beat him, and it's tough to get all the way. But you should remember Wichita State went into the tournament undefeated one year with the coach Marshall. I don't know. They're good, and but they're not household names. That team, right? They're just so dominant, and they're like the no-name defense with the Dolphins, right? There's no big star, right? They got a tall guy in the middle, and they just play at any pace you want to play at.
Yep.
And every time they need a 3, they hit it. Seems like they never miss a 3 when they need one to stop a run.
Sure. And I guess, it's lacking an overall villain. Mm-hmm. College basketball is much better when there's a hated person. Although Dan Hurley is turning into the villain, is he not? Like, if you're not a UConn fan, he's not going to be a very easy guy to like.
I don't know if he's a villain. He'll never be the villain that Krzyzewski was. I mean, Krzyzewski united a lot of people.
Oh, yes, big time. Note from our producer, Luke, it was the second highest average margin of victory for any tournament ever, 14.4 points per game. So blowout's really the story of the tournament.
I think it's only the third time that a team went through double digits every game. I think them last year, them this year, and Carolina in 2009 were the only time that double-digit all 6 games.
Go ahead.
How was the action here with the Masters? We're ready to go. I see you got something
excited.
At the pool. What was your promotion at the pool?
We're very excited. We've got a lot going on at the pool this week, and we got big groups coming in. The Babes of Golf are going to be here. All these UFC fighters are coming down after Saturday night. They're going to watch the final round on Sunday. This will be very good because so many times it falls on Easter. and it kind of kills it a little bit, but it's separated off as a standalone event, and hopefully there's some compelling stories here, and it's not a runaway, but we expect to have our largest Masters right of all time easily this year.
Who dings you?
The favorite.
Really?
Which is surprising, right? They're still betting him at a short price, but because we have the best price. So if you want to bet him, you're going to bet him here. But that's the only one right now. It'll change because the round-around betting will get crazy here, right?
Yeah,
This is one of these events where we write into this pool for 6 months, and then everything can change going into Friday and Saturday.
You're also taking 5,000 on matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jeff Davis does such a good job. And it also helps all these other states coming online, too. The Illinois Masters right's going to be great. Kentucky, with doing really no advertising in Kentucky yet. Got several six-figure deposits already in Kentucky, guys firing, so it's awesome.
What's the best day of your life?
The best day of my life?
Yeah. I was asking your father because with the Scheffler thing. I imagine if Scheffler's the leader, got to see ya. Wife's in labor. Got to go.
Probably the birth of my son.
Okay.
Yeah.
You going to leave with a four-stroke lead?
Would you? Would you? Huh?
Probably not. Probably not. I'm
man.
not delivering the baby.
Scotty said he's going to leave. That's it. All right. The Maestro will run down the biggest gaps of the previous week in no hyperbole. That's coming up next year. And Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Action-packed fight card taking over Las Vegas. UFC 300 DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of UFC, giving new customers a shot to turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets with any UFC 300 bet. Download the app, promo code VSiN when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook. Crown is yours. Here we go.
No bias.
You will respect my authority.
No pulled punches.
Your wife cheated on you because you lost sight of who you are as a man, as a husband.
No agenda.
There is no fear in this dojo.
This is no hyperbole.
This is the best part of the week.
Here's the maestro, Mike Baum.
I am the smartest man alive.
All right, here we go. Number 5, me and Julio down by the soccer stadium. Mitch, this is a very interesting story about a guy that we've bet several times for Cy Young, Julio Urias, who will never again pitch in Major League Baseball, nor should he. 2 times in the last 8 years, he's been in the top 10 in Cy Young voting, won 20 games for the Dodgers, led the National League in ERA, but he can't keep his hands off of women. So remember, in 2019, he served a 20-game suspension for violating the league's collectively bargained and agreed with domestic violence policy. And then we roll into September of last year, and yet another incident, this time with his wife, where after going to see an LAFC Inter Miami game to see Messi play, she walked out of the stadium because he was taking pictures with all these female fans. He chases her down, chokes her, throws her up against the fence. Well, LA County says they're not going to file any felony charges, but they are charging him with 5 different counts, including false imprisonment. He was put on administrative leave on September 3rd of last year. His Dodger contract ended. They in no way had any use for him, and he has not pitched at any level of baseball since, either here or abroad. He faces several years in jail off these charges, and he is out of the game forever. Compare and contrast to another Dodgers pitcher who had his own problems with a woman, but made a big deal about it, Trevor Bauer, who I don't think will ever play again as well because he's become such a pariah. It boggles my mind the tens of millions of dollars that people can throw away because they can't control their temper and think that things like this are okay. All right, number 4, 3, and 2 are a trilogy here. We'll start with number 4, the swing's the thing. We're only 2 weeks into the Major League Baseball season, and Angel Hernandez makes 3 of the top 5 here. He is quickly, as one of my high school friends who watches the show every week points out, gained GOAT status in no hyperbole.
Yeah.
Tony Correnti, move over. Brother Lynn, thing of the past.
Oh, Brother Lynn's top.
Brother Lynn is top.
That's tough to top.
But Angel through the length of his work. All right, let's start out with Thursday, April 4th, doubleheader because of the rain out. Game 1, Tigers at Mets. We're in the 11th inning. Spencer Torkelson is up and clearly gets hit by a pitch that runs into him. He trots to first base, And Angel Hernandez says, oh, no, come on back. So A.J. Hinch comes out and says the ball hit him. Go to the replay. Now, no challenges, but the crew chief can ask to look at something. You know, John Boy Media does a great job breaking all these baseball situations and umpiring situations. The audio on this is incredible. Lance Barksdale, who's the crew chief, comes in and says to Angel, we want to look at it. And Angel says, oh, he swung. But he swung. He said, you had a swing? They back at the first base umpire. You had a swing? Yeah, I had a swing. So now Barksdale goes over to Hinch and says, we can't review it because it's a swing. You can't review whether it's a swing or not a swing. Hinch says, you can't have a swing. Angel, you didn't have a swing. I had a swing. How could you have a swing? Why didn't you ask for it? I mean, it's comical. He never even made any movement. The ball came up and in on him and hit him on the hand. All right, let's move on. Number 3, Bronx cheer. Sunday, this past Sunday, Blue Jays at Yankees. Bottom of the first, the very first batter is Gleyber Torres. Barton Francis is the starting pitcher for Toronto. He starts his motion, stops, disengages with the rubber, and then continues into the motion. Never reset the pitch clock. Torres steps out of the box. Gleyber Torres is up. The count is 3-2. Francis delivers a pitch that's 7 inches above the strike zone. Angel Hernandez rings him up. In the bottom of the first inning, the Bronx cheer in the Bronx. F you, Angel, over and over and over and over again. The bottom of the first inning. Let's move on to the 5th inning. Miza pitching for Tim Miza pitching for the Blue Jays. Oswaldo Cabrera up. Next picture, right down the middle.
Yep.
Center cut.
Yep.
Mid-thigh. Ball. I'm listening to the Blue Jays announcers and this one saying, did he come up? Was he looking at the runner? How did Angel not see that pitch? This will be a case study that will be taught in law schools and will be taught in political science classes years after we are all gone about the structure of organized labor, the power of it, where it fails at times. This umpires union might be the best in the world. I mean, that this guy keeps his job. You had a federal judge say in his lawsuit that it's an objective fact that he's terrible at his job. The other umpires don't want to work with him because he's so paranoid and he doesn't tell anybody else on his crew what's going on. They hate working with him as well. Remember the home run? Remember Bob Melvin getting thrown out in Cleveland when the ball clearly hit the wall? And they went to review. Review was new, and Angel went and looked at review and said, no, it was a home run when it was obvious that it hit the fence and came back. And then Angel wrote a statement saying, poor technology in Cleveland. I couldn't tell because he's such a... You could go on for a day. They'll write a book about this someday, but I don't know if I can take up all the no hyperbole but if he continues to perform like this, he's got to get at least a couple spots. And then number 1 on our list this week is reality is coming, but for whom? Now, I'm referring to Diana Taurasi's comments about Caitlin Clark, and I'm not sure why ESPN wants to put the haters on. I mean, this is promoting their product, the WNBA. But Diana Taurasi, of course, in the aftermath of them Iowa beating UConn, has the comments about, we've got something waiting for her when she comes to the WNBA. She rung up a bunch of stats against 18-year-olds. Well, so did all of you in your college careers, winning all your national titles at UConn and your Players of the Year. I can't understand, Mitch. I keep trying to find a comp for someone coming into a sport out of college or out of an amateur status and the whole league having hate. Like, Ewing went to 3 out of 4 title games. Like, when he came into the league, was Kareem out there saying, we've got something for him? He beat up on a bunch of 18-year-olds. Magic and Bird, who came in and uplifted the NBA and saved the NBA. The finals were on tape delay and lifted this into a national product that everybody watched and paid money to go to. Diana Taurasi makes $220,000 a year. That's the salary cap in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark makes $4 million in NIL. She's going to come to your league and raise revenues. Raise ticket revenue, raise TV revenue. Your salary cap will get much bigger. Why are all these people so quick to say she's not as good as she thinks she is? I give a lot of kudos to Dawn Staley, who in that moment on the podium, accepting the trophy, thanked her for uplifting the game and the burden she's had the last 2 years with the media attention 24/7, round the clock, and what she did for the women's game and what she will do for the WNBA. It's going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, it is different, and they will be obviously focused on stopping her. But I think that she will continue to draw eyeballs to the game and maybe make this product sustainable where it doesn't need all the backing of the WNBA or of the NBA. I want to say one note here as we end No Hyperbole. Happy trails to Tara Vanderveer at Stanford. Obviously, the 38 years there and 3 national titles. But think about that 96 Olympic women's basketball team. She stepped away from her program where she had just won 2 titles in the last 5 years to coach that team. They took that team on a tour all around the world. I don't know if you watched the documentary. If you get the chance to, it's amazing. They went to Siberia and China, played in gyms. It was 20 degrees with that team. Rebecca Lobo was the only college kid on that team. She had it tough. But Vanderveer took a whole year out of her life to make that team the best they could. Of course, they were never challenged when they finally got to the Olympics.
What's the name of it?
It's something. I'll find it
Google
for you.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like an hour and a half special. They run it on like ESPNU and that every once in a while.
Very good job. I came up with a comp. You can deflect it if you would like, or embrace it. Johnny Manziel. The money signs at Texas A&M. I recall like NFL players maybe like going out of their way to like really want to punish him when he came in.
But I think that's different because I don't think he was going to uplift the NFL ratings.
No, he was
or
not.
He wasn't going to.
He was not.
That was more like of a cocky attitude.
Did she just go there, or was she asked the question?
No, they brought them in at
did someone say, how do you think she'll do in the WNBA?
I don't know if that was
can't kill her.
I watched it because it was right after the UConn game, right? It was Van Pelt. Van Pelt had her and Bird on right after, and the first thing he asked was about the moving screen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then he might have asked about Caitlin moving on in that.
Okay.
But Brianna Stewart,
you might want to have another voice other than 2 former UConn players in the Final Four match between UConn and another team.
Good discussion, too, and this Angel Hernandez thing drives me nuts. I will say this. You can tell if a bartender is a union, though. You can tell. That's just how it is. It's like, wow, I can't get a drink here. This guy's ignoring me. Okay.
That happens quite a bit.
Yep. What are you going to do? Can't fire him. There's
challenges. I mean, the children were working in mines. I mean, there's a good reason for unions to protect people, but the pendulum swings as well.
All right, we're going to talk to David Sampson up next. Ran the Marlins for nearly 2 decades. It's a great podcast now. What does he make of the A's debacle? And is there a solution to cut down on arm injuries? This is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Limited time offering 2 weeks of our exclusive betting splits for free. Just sign up, vsin.com/splits. It's updated with DraftKings odds every 5 minutes. You can see changes in all the action. Check out the future events as well. Take advantage now. Limited time offer, vsin.com/splits. It's been too long. Love this guy. Big fan of David Sampson. Follow him on X at David P. Sampson and Nothing Personal Podcast. Le Batard Show. CBS Sports as well. Does an excellent job. Good to talk to you, sir. How you been?
I am doing very well, thank you. Happy to be back. I miss you guys.
Yes, it's been too long. So you're on the Progressive Guest Line, by the way. I thought you nailed it with your take on, are we sure that the A's are getting to Las Vegas and what that could get? And then why an owner wouldn't step in and say, this is embarrassing for baseball, what's going on with the A's, and then go into Sacramento, your take is on what could actually happen and what it means for an expansion team as well. If you have the floor, sir.
There's such amazing confusion going on right now because baseball announced that the A's were going to play in Sacramento for what they're calling the interim period on their way to Las Vegas. And what people in the media did and fans did is they said, oh, that must mean the deal in Vegas is done because they're taking the first step, therefore the second step must be ready. But that's not the case. The reason why the A's are in Sacramento right now, starting next year, is their lease in the Oakland Coliseum was over, and there is no way that they were going to stay in Oakland in that Coliseum because the only way they would have even considered it is if they'd had a done deal to build a new stadium in Oakland. So it's almost punitive. You don't get a new deal done in Oakland, we're not even going to stay here for the interim period. But in order to get the deal done in Vegas, they need construction agreements, they need construction documents, they need financing agreements, they need to worry about whether the public is going to get to vote on the state money for the deal in Vegas. They need to worry about whether the Sydney Opera House can fit on the 9 acres that Bally's gave them.
Yep.
They need to worry whether the deal with Bally's is even done for the 9 acres. So there's myriad things going on. And the only thing we know for sure, and that's it, is that the A's are going to be in Sacramento. We don't know if it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. If Vivek has his way, it could be permanent.
Yep.
But Vivek was so silly. I was cringing when he gave a quote. I spoke to Rob Manfred and we're in the pole position. No, you're not. Rule number 1, be quiet. If you know anything about being an owner in baseball, it's don't break news about things going on in ownership. The commissioner and the other owners don't like that. So I think Vivek ruined being in the pole position to the extent that they ever were by saying it. So basically, they've just kicked the can. They'll go to Sacramento, play in a minor league facility. The union's going to be annoyed, and it's going to be a continuing nightmare until Oakland gets a permanent place to play.
Okay, so if I made a prop bet right now, and that is we can name the year here. Let's say 2028, or we can even extend it to 2030. David, I will give you the A's are going to be playing in Las Vegas or any other city. What would you bet?
In 2028, I would definitely take the field because I don't believe they can get a ballpark done that quickly. In 2030, I would still take the field.
Wow.
Because I believe that having Vegas as an expansion city where the owners can get paid money.
Yeah.
It's a great bit of leverage than just having Sacramento against Vancouver, against Portland, against another city in the West, Salt Lake City, whatever city you want to say. Salt Lake City's now looks like it's going to get hockey. Can they be a 3-sport town? Unlikely. But that said, I always like field bets. It's like betting the Masters. Yeah. Could I take specifically Dustin Johnson as a live player, or I could get plus 225 and get the whole field of live players? I'd rather do it that way.
David, I was at the Cubs-Padres game yesterday. It's stunning how much of a difference, and the first time I really noticed it live at a game, that this change to the 15-second pitch clock, has made. I know the unions come out and say they think this is contributing to injuries because there's not enough recovery time between pitches. What are your thoughts?
I think that they're doing labor positioning, both MLB and the union. So ignore what each of them says, because what they're really doing is getting ready for the next collective bargaining negotiation, which will start next year, because this agreement they're in ends at the end of 25. And so what you do as a union or as management is you get message points out there. So Tony Clark makes a statement saying it's all about the pitch clock. Well, that's total horse hockey, and he knows it. MLB's saying it has nothing to do with the pitch clock. We have a study. I can give you a study right now that the day after tomorrow is Tuesday. And I pay somebody, and they will release it and say it's true. Then I can get the other guy to say, I promise you the day after tomorrow is Saturday. And we don't know what the heck's going on. And that's what the story is with the injuries. We've been studying this for decades. It's a nightmare to pay players not to play. I'd always would rather pay players who stink versus paying players who are injured. Because at least if they are healthy and stink, you can dream that they'll get better. But when they're injured, there's nothing you can do. So it is a real problem in baseball.
That's a great line.
Yep, strong. Very good. You just got into this on your podcast. You blew up last week on social media with this answer, and it's so good. You don't think of it from a fan standpoint, but also, with your time with the Marlins and being a former executive. So Ohtani hits his first home run with the Dodgers, and it's $1 million ball, it's a $500,000 ball, whatever. But you were blown away by how the Dodgers got this wrong and then what transpired after. What's the correct way to handle this, if you can tell us what happened?
Well, I had the 600th home run of Ken Griffey hit a pro player when I was the team president, and we were ready with an entire system in place. Security goes to the person, gets all the people the person is with. They are escorted down to the tunnel into a conference room where I was waiting to try to fleece them and get the ball back for Ken Griffey. Standard operating procedure, no problem, except that guy wouldn't sell us the ball, and rightly so. He ended up selling it at auction and made a ton of money. but you don't separate people from their family. You don't try to say you won't authenticate it. You don't not have the player come try to talk to the person who has the ball. There's certain things that are just easy to do, and the Dodgers acted like, oh, we had no idea, we're sorry. And then a day later, they said, oh, we're going to make it better. We'll invite you to another game and let you on the field or whatever else they offered. And it just seemed clumsy. And the Dodgers sometimes are clumsy, and I believe that clumsiness comes from when you are comfortable. And the Dodgers are really comfortable where they are from a revenue standpoint, where they are from a winning competitive standpoint. And it's as though they forget that there are basic principles that no matter what your record is or what your payroll is, that you do when you're operating a company or a franchise. And when you feel that way, then you get clumsy.
David, can you define the word fleece, please?
Fleece is when I take something that's worth X and I tell you I want it for X minus Y. Mm-hmm. And I convince you that it's really only worth Z, even though you deep down know it's worth X. And yet you do what I want. That's called fleecing.
So that guy he knew what he was doing, obviously. And no matter what you were going to throw at him, he's like, nope, sorry, too bad. I know what the operation's going on here.
And I respected it. I tip of the cap, because what you do is when you're negotiating in these circumstances, when you're trying to fleece somebody, you have to know when to hold them and when to fold them, because otherwise you look slimy and like you're a joke or that you're not being respectful. You can try to fleece someone in a very respectful way, but you have to know when it's time to stop. And I stopped at the appropriate time. It took all game. I missed the rest of that game against the Reds that day. I wasn't going to give up in 2 minutes, but it took about 6 innings, and then I said, all right, you see you later.
I don't get we gave him a meet and greet with Ohtani, and then that never happened, and Ohtani said, well, I met her. And then she's like, I never met him.
Boy, it seems like there's a lot lost in translation with Ohtani. Did he wire money? Did he not wire money? Did he know? Did he not know? Is he lying? Is he not lying? Now we have the interpreter. Breaking news is going to plead guilty, and it's the greatest thing that's ever happened in Major League Baseball because they get to wash their hands of the Ohtani problem, and they get to continue on with him as the face of Major League Baseball. So what better way to do it than to have him as a fall guy? And is it possible that he changed the settings and did all the transactions that Ohtani didn't know about?
Right.
I guess I would only ask, man, who are the people representing Ohtani's best interests? Because there must be nobody.
Yeah, that was a great spot. By the way, I didn't know if you were going to do the Seinfeld thing and offer Kramer lattes for life or something like that to the guy, or maybe be the face of the Marlboro Man as part of the deal that you could do. So
this guy could have been the face of the Marlboro Man.
Get the Nothing Personal podcast hosted by David Sampson. He is outstanding. David, thanks so much for the time today. We really appreciate that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Look forward to the next time. Have a great day.
We'll talk to you soon.
It'll be soon. You're awesome.
Mm-hmm. I've added a bet for today in Major League Baseball, and we'll talk a little MLB with Mike. Maybe to expand on that, the trip to Petco Park yesterday, watching the game in the shadows as they were creeping in the afternoon.
Still time because of the delay. Anything you want to know about the Masters, Bill 80 up and at 'em, and mention and go to vsin.com. Betting splits, best bets, exclusive articles, odds by state, betting tools, betting guides, and the free newsletter. vsin.com today. Get there now.
A couple of notes from Jeff Davis, who does the golf numbers here, in charge of it at Circa. You guys actually bumped up the limit bets on matchups yesterday morning to 10,000.
Yes, sir.
It's pretty strong.
Not bad.
He also said the outright pool is incredible.
Yeah.
The rain delay this morning has been tremendous for business, and the Tiger cut prop, incredible, which makes a lot of sense.
Jeff Davis is in heaven right now. You got the Stanley Cup playoff races right now, the in and out playoffs going on. He's got the Masters. I mean, he does a lot of stuff for us, but this is a great week for him.
I told him before, I don't think we would ever pull this off. I would love to, you guys should do like a documentary sometime, Masters Week, what it's like behind the scenes booking this event. I think it would be fat because you want to keep the hold at a certain percentage.
Yep.
So when a huge bet comes in on, for example, Shane Lowry right now, okay, you're going to lower him a little bit, but then who do I raise? I think that would be unbelievable to watch.
The hold also goes down as you get into the week too, right?
Yeah.
The hold is at X and it's 16, and then we get it down to 14, and right, and then you have to move when you take a bet. That means you have to make every other people better to keep it at the same theoretical model. So
you got an update on the documentary for Survivor?
I just filmed something with Stormy. It's ready to go. They wanted an opening.
This is the game changer.
The opening was I greeted her coming out of the limo and walked her here as if she was going down to buy into the contest last year. And so it's all ready to go. I think that was the final touch on it. And it would have been Derek, but he was already in San Diego, and we did it Monday after Lombardi Line.
So now because we have the Eagles and Packers playing the Friday night game.
Where's that? What is that? Peacock.
It's a Peacock game in Brazil. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have the Thursday night opener with the Chiefs taking on an opponent.
Rebuy.
Do the double rebuy now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People will do this.
They will.
Explain that to people who are tuning in right now saying, what's that mean?
So when Saturday comes, when the cutoff comes at Saturday at 4 o'clock Pacific or whatever it is, or 2 o'clock, I guess, because you give 2 hours for the proxies to get all their bets in for week 1, put the picks in, you can have 10 entries. Let's assume it stays at 10, which I think there's a pretty good shot. You can have 10 entries. But that means you could buy 10 entries and use them all on Thursday night. And if you lost, you could buy 10 again. So you have 10 going into the Sunday. Well, people did that last year. It was amazing to me because it was Lions at Chiefs that the great majority of the picks were on the Lions. Yeah. I could not believe that.
Yeah.
And it won.
Yep.
But anyhow, and Jessica.
That's right.
She was one of them. She did all 10. But now this year you could conceivably have 30. If you blow Thursday and then blow Friday.
And then re-up
to head into Sunday.
Right. Will that happen? Will that happen to at least one person? They buy 10 entries on Thursday, they lose it. They rebuy on Friday, they lose it, and they say, I got to do it again.
Do we know what the Thursday night game is?
We don't know the Chiefs' opponent yet.
I can't make that number till I know the opponent. What's the look ahead on the Packers? Are they favored against the Eagles in Brazil?
Opened up 3.5.
Packers 3.5?
No, Eagles.
That's wrong.
Bet down to 1.5.
Come on.
Packers are very popular.
Come on.
I'm surprised you didn't snap up the 3.5.
I wasn't available here in town.
Yeah.
Well, Packers are going to be very popular this year.
They'll be the favorite by the time that game goes off.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
I thought last year was the year to bet Green Bay. It wasn't looking good for the first 10 weeks. This year, the number's going to be inflated. I think they should be favored over Philly on a neutral.
Did you watch the way Philly closed the season? Didn't they lose 5 out of 6?
No,
they got run out by Baker Mayfield.
It was bad.
They were yelling at that kid, that was an MVP candidate, calling him some names on the bench. Nobody doing anything.
Yeah, fair point.
Seems like there's some problems there.
Yep. Jeff Davis not loving life, though, because we're 2 weeks away from the draft, and bookmakers can't stand this. But I was pleasantly surprised. No. Good Jeff Davis, what?
They're going to put up 50 props.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But bookmakers hate it. But Jeff Benson tweeted it out.
Chris
That's
Bennett
good.
says we want to have a deep menu this year.
Good.
And have small limits and a lot of options.
That's how you do it. And
you don't have to take 10,000 on every bet.
They're going to put 500 on each one.
That's what they said.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
It's good.
It's all right. Make it a little more. I think it's a very interesting draft, actually, from a betting perspective.
Do you think we're going to get 5 quarterbacks in the first round?
You think it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4?
I don't.
That might be a draft, the prop that's available,
You
right?
1,
2, 3, 4. Right?
Can I request?
You start giving your requests now.
That would be. Will we get 4 quarterbacks in the top 10?
How about 1, 2, 3, 4?
Do that. You can make 3 different bets. Top 5.
You want wide receivers too?
How many wide receivers will we get in the top 10?
Yep. That's another good one.
But the number 2.5. What would you put that at?
He thinks we might get 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think there's a shot Neighbors is the first one taken?
Yes, that's in play.
I really believe it's in play.
Yep.
You do?
Yes.
Good call.
It's ridiculous. Minus $5 on Harrison?
Right.
It's too...
And then give me the option, too. I want to bet 2, 3, 4, whatever, for how many go. Okay. Always a lot going on here, and you always have a busy life. San Diego in a second.
What a life.
But yes, it's a good run. Now, how about what happened here? It finally cashed.
7 card.
Someone hit the Pi Gow Progressive.
Yeah, the 7 card.
Now, it happened twice in the same week, once at South Point. Oof. Here it happened, it took 5 years. Apparently they had no idea how to play the game. And they won almost half a million.
Total newbie.
Really?
Total newbie player.
What a story.
Late at night, early morning. Guy playing with a friend and all that. Yeah. No clue.
What'd they take home?
No clue.
$4.95? $4.90?
Yeah, $4.90, give or take.
What would you throw the dealer if you did that?
Oh, my God. I would have no idea where to even begin with that.
Only person at the table?
How many drinks
No,
am I in?
no,
Am I
there's three
drinking? Am I
people at the
completely
table.
sober if I have like 5 beers in me?
You have
Feeling good?
You have 3 beers and 2 shots in you.
Oh, I don't do shots, so I don't know.
You don't do shots?
No, God, no. They're going to get a healthy sum, for sure.
20?
I was thinking at least that number,
Okay.
right?
I think that's a reasonable starting point.
Yeah.
Paul would be a little higher.
20 would be fair, right?
I think 20 is very... I actually think 3% is fair as a minimum.
Okay.
So
Why? What do you asked me the question, then answer it, Pauly. What are you going to
15.
give? 50? 75?
I think he gives 40.
I don't know. What did they... Are you at liberty to say?
It wasn't that much.
Okay. Okay.
Was it close to that much?
Under for the limit.
No. You'd have to divide by
no.
a couple zeros.
Was it $20?
You'd have to divide by a couple zeros.
Okay.
No. Something. Oh, boy, that's tough.
What's the dealer reaction then when that happens?
Oh, there's some disappointment.
Yeah, because
That's-
you're splitting it with everyone,
but
too.
it's also
everyone-
pooled
Yeah.
together, so it's not just
I know.
that
By every
person.
hour
It's-
worked,
it's
right?
every-
By
it's-
hours
yeah.
worked.
So it's not just that person's reaction. It's got to be the entire crew that are like, wait, are you serious? He tipped how much money?
You know, but I'll say this: like when Dana White would play at the D regularly, him coming in would, let's just say when he came in during that week, let's say he came in on a Thursday, nobody was EOing on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and girls were looking to pick up a day because they knew the rate was going to be $15, $20 higher that week,
Yeah.
right? On
That's
their
a good-
hours
well
worked.
said. Great answer, right? And I'm not saying this happened, but if you stiff, that's not as bad as the person who does $5, though.
That's correct.
You've seen that.
No, that's correct.
Someone
Yes.
I'm not going to say where it is, but people have
Better
hit.
be zero than an insulting amount.
Okay. Well, how was San Diego?
Well, San Diego is just terrific. I mean, I got off the plane at 71 and sunny. Petco is beautiful.
Amazing
I sat
ballpark.
there with Derek in the outfield in
There it
like the
is.
7th
Wow.
inning and say, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. That's the winner. That's our first circa getaway winner sweepstakes. We did that as an initial, but every time the Padres have a walk-off, we're going to draw a name. You scan your code. We had they're in the
right.
park. You scan your QR. You enter, you're in for the whole season. So you enter once, and then every walk-off. We give them the money for the airplane, $500 airline credit. Limo picks you up off the airplane, 2 nights in a Sunset Suite, $300 to Barry's, $300 to Legacy, and a $1,500 comp at Stadium Swim. Wow. It's a nice getaway pack. Yeah. He's coming with his wife Friday. They're coming Friday, Saturday. They got 5 kids. That was his oldest and the middle child there. 11 all the way to 2.
So this is for people going to Padres games.
In Padres
they enter
games,
there.
it's for people in the Padres games. It's your getaway to Vegas.
That is an incredible package.
Well, the most incredible thing is they found somebody to watch 5 kids for the week.
I was going to say, how does that happen?
That's the most incredible thing.
Right.
Will Hill won Matt Euban's contest, and
Yep.
the thing is the cabana.
Yep.
Yes.
But he traded it in for dinner for his whole family at Andiamo because he's like, how do you have a babysitter for me? I said, well, you get how many kids? They got like 6 kids. I said, that's going to cost you. She's $12 an hour. It's going to cost you more than the cabana. Invite Pritch. Maybe he'll cover it. I don't know. But he did. He's trading it in and he'll take the whole family to Andiamo when they come out.
All right.
All right. Very good
go wrong
appearance
there.
today.
Yep.
On very little sleep, by the way.
Sure.
Very little
Excellent
sleep.
job.
I wouldn't trade it in, though.
Give you an A.
Oh, wow.
Go see Miguel at Andiamo. He'll dance
Yeah.
for you. Miguel.
Here's the bet that I'm making today, by the way.
Oh,
Added
yeah.
this in
What'd you
pocket.
do? Yeah.
Grayson Rodriguez against the Red Sox. He has struck out a minimum of 7 guys both starts so far this year. Red Sox third highest K rate in baseball.
Over what?
You can find 7+ Ks at plus 130. We'll make that bet today.
All in one Sunday.
Enjoy the Masters. Gil Alexander is next. You can listen at vsin.com.